For the fourth time, the United States of America are crowned champions of the world, and for the very first time they've done it on European soil. It is finished at the Stade de Lyon in the final in victory and joy for the United States.
It is a huge win for us, for women's sports, for women. The justice comes in the next generation, never having to go through what we went through. It's equal pay across the board from here on out.
You were listening to Give and Go
with Sam Cary
and Rohtas Wadera, only on Girls Soccer Network. Hello and welcome. You are listening to episode 84 of Give and Go. I'm your host, Rohtas Wadera, joined by my lovely co-host, Sam Cary Angel. Of course, with the Chicago Red Stars in the NWSL. Sam, how are you doing? It's been a little bit. We were on a little bit of a break, but I'm glad to be back with you here. How's everything going?
A little bit of a little hiatus, but I'm here talking to Coach Lasso, so I'm quite excited. For those of you listening on audio, Ro texted me to bring my Halloween costume because he fully said that he was going to be up in his getup, which I'm loving. Full transparency. In the Angel household, I don't know why. I don't know if it's the time of year. I don't know that I'm extremely exhausted or whatever, all of the above. I've decided it's Christmas. Do I understand that we're recording this on October 30th? Yes, I do. Did my Christmas tree go up a week ago? It did. So Ro texted me to wear my Halloween costumes, and instead I busted out the Christmas PJs because I've officially decided it's Christmas.
I had no idea you were this big of a Christmas person. You're telling me your tree is up now?
Not. I don't know if it's just like from being overseas last year. Like I didn't really get to do the whole Christmas thing because I was away from my family, and even as simple as decorating your space or decorating your apartment, honestly, I've never been at a point in my life where I owned anything. When I was in Sweden, I couldn't really own anything. When you're in college, you and your roommates do a hodgepodge or whatever. And then my fifth year, this time of year, I was getting ready to get married, which is an insane statement to say. So it's this is the first time me and my husband are we have a Christmas tree together and we can buy lights and garland and all this stuff. And by me, I mean, I did make a massive Target run earlier while he was at work. So he's going to come home to a winter wonderland. I don't know that he feels the same way I feel, but he's married to me, so he's required to.
Got it. Okay, so it's extra special because you have not gotten the chance to do it. That makes more sense. I thought this is an every year thing where October Halloween time the tree goes up. Okay, we're good then. We're good. I'm so happy for you. That is amazing. And so I guess you could be a Christmas fanatic is your costume for this year.
Exactly.
And we definitely will get into more updates with Sam in a second. First and foremost, for all the latest and greatest from the world of women's soccer, go to www.girlsoccernetwork.com. Of course, you can follow Sam at Sam Cary Angel on Instagram, and you can follow me at RowanDetas25. All right, so here's what we got for you today. We got a lot going on. We have a special interview with Clarissa Larisey, striker of the Houston Dash. We definitely want to get into the NWSL as we approach the playoffs. We've got some other things in Europe that we want to touch on as well, including the UEFA Nations League final. And some stuff on Alyssa Thompson because we all love Alyssa Thompson. Why not? So we will get into all of that. But first, like I said, Sam, again, outside of the Christmas shopping, how have things been for you? End of the season, one game to go. Your thoughts on how things have gone for you and for the team?
Great question. And I mean, in full transparency, Ro will send me the Google Doc of what he thinks are great topics for us to talk about. And I looked at this bullet point and I was like, oh, I haven't even started processing this. So I may have more better, all-encompassing thoughts on the next episode. And I think a lot of the reason I haven't even mentally even gone there is we still do have one more game. We still do have a job to do. We are still training. We are pushing. International break, I think, is always an interesting time because you have people that are leaving. You have people that go and play for their national teams. But there's still a core of y'all that are in your city and training every day and, doing the everything still. And so I don't know, I feel of course we're upset that our season is officially ending. We do only have one game left. We know going in, which obviously we have known for a couple weeks now. And so now it's all about maximizing that last game. When you think about the year I've personally had, like I said, this is where it's so much. I don't even know how I've processed it or when I will. I was just saying to Ro off camera, my first practice of the season was January 9th in Sweden. So for it to be, I mean, a 10-month season is a lot. Being in season, ready to go. I mean, I think my first game in Sweden was literally January 27th. So it's been a long year. And then I think when you look at that, I believe I've had 5 consecutive days off in that 10-month period over the summer. And in those 5 days, I was also moving across the world. So it wasn't exactly relaxing. So it's been a lot, to say the least. And, if I look back at it though, it's probably going to be one of the most confusing and challenging but rewarding and testing year I've had, both personally and on a soccer standpoint. And so I'm excited to go off with one last time. I think the team is really excited, and even if I think about it, I don't know that this is publicly announced, so a little insider tea. But like we play Angel City our last game, and I know that the Stars are actually doing something special to honor the legacies of Krista Press and Allie Riley for their retirement before the game. Because Press played for the Stars for a very long time, So there's like moments still that are like, I get to play in this league every single day. I think the last time I really had a moment, was honestly a couple weeks ago. We played San Diego. Game did not go how we wanted to, but I was, lucky enough and honored enough to get to start. And that whole game, I had to mark Cascarino, who is arguably one of the most lethal attackers in this league. And I'm like, and I'm pretty sure like my mom was watching this game, and even the announcers are like, they're putting a rookie against Cascarino. And I was like, oh, thanks for having faith in me, guys. Like, okay, cool. Great. And so, when I have that and then I turn on Nations League and I see her starting and being a key player for France, I'm like, I marked her 4 days ago, and so to have these moments of like, I've taken such a step forward in my career this year, and I'm so grateful for the challenges and the opportunities it's brought me. Like, honestly, right now, like, I'm just grateful, and I'm grateful I get at least one more game to live it out through this year.
Yeah, there was so much that like is taken for granted, I think, from what you just said in terms of like so many players do what you did, which is like that mid-year transfer and make it look like, right, like to us, would have no idea that that is what is going on, that you literally have only had 5 days off in a year, which is absolutely insane. And like for the normal person, we'd be like, yeah, I need a vacation by now. And you don't have that luxury. So like really shedding a light on just how dedicated and committed you are to the process, right? Because there are those days where you're like, I want to, maybe, nope, there is none of that. There was no wiggle room. There was no nothing. You are fully committed to what you're doing. And it's been amazing. And I think that reflects in the fact that you got to start to end the year. And I mean, sky's the limit now going into next year, right? And I'm sure you're excited and thrilled to have Mallory Swanson coming back into the team, which is going to be a game changer for you guys. I really think as a team, you guys have looked great to end the year. And like you have so much positive momentum to build off of. And assuming that Swanson is back, man, y'all are gonna be in the mix. I can't wait. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
I completely agree. It's a huge, like, I don't want to say advantage, but it's a huge blessing right now that we've had Anders come in as who will be our future assistant coach. And, we have been able to like have small, like, whatever, meet Martin. So our new head coach. And I think, we've had that installation now for the last like month and a half about the principles that they want to implement. And so for a lot of players, this is an opportunity to see like, okay, where am I going to fit into this picture? Is this how I want to play? If not, like, let's be real, like, what you're getting into in January now for a lot of players. And I think that clarity is really important. But I also think like, you know what? You can look at our scoreline against San Diego, and like obviously it wasn't a good scoreline. Let's call a spade a spade. Like that is a performance that a lot of us, have really struggled with since. That being said, you can see the pieces coming together, especially since Anders has been here, and you can see like what we're trying to build. And so I think getting tested now, like, great, okay, cool. Let's take a rest. Let's get tested now because we're figuring out the pieces for next year. And that's a really like obviously we wish we were in the playoff run. Obviously we wish the season would have gotten better, but I think that's making the most of the opportunities we have right now.
Yeah, and just like showing how highly competitive you guys were without Swanson, it's just like that addition of her, like it's just going to elevate everyone even more to an even higher level. So yeah, I'm truly excited for next year. Obviously, enjoy this last game against Angel City. I do think it is a great opportunity for you guys to get a nice win to end the season. Obviously, Angel City are going to want to win it for Kristen Press and Ali Riley, but I was there for when Portland absolutely like pretty much put him to the sword. Like it was more of like a retirement ceremony for them, and like everyone kind of really wanted to see them regardless of the outcome of the game. Like there were some horrible refereeing decisions. It seems like every single referee is against Angel City when we're there, but that's neither here nor there. I definitely want to get back into the playoffs and the because we got deadline day, or is it deadline? No, it's not deadline day. It's kind of like decision day, and not too exciting in terms of the amount of teams. Like last year, it was insane going down to the last day. Here, because of what Racing Louisville and North Carolina were able to do last week, they are the only two teams left to secure a playoff spot. Here are these scenarios. So it is Louisville who have the advantage over the Courage by 2 points. It's simple. Louisville, if they actually no, it's not that simple because if Louisville draws against Bay FC and the Courage uh, beat Gotham, the Courage are in. They would leapfrog them on goal difference most likely. So Louisville has to beat Bay FC if they want to secure a spot. A draw would only guarantee if the Courage lose to Gotham, right? So for the Courage, it's simple. You have to win the game. For Louisville, you have to also win the game, but a draw only helps you if the Courage lose or get a draw themselves. So based on those two matchups, what are you liking?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the questioning comes into play here when you look at the matchups. So you have North Carolina playing Gotham. Gotham is fighting for seeding. Gotham already knows that they're, clinching in the playoffs. So you could look at that kind of two different ways. They either already know that they're in, but also like no one, listen, like of course spectators are gonna be like, maybe they won't take it as seriously. Like, no, that doesn't really happen, especially in this league. So that's an extreme clarity. And then you have Louisville who's playing Bay. Bay's towards the bottom of the table, 13th place, have had a struggle this last back half of the season. They also know their coach is on the way out. This will be his last game. So there's a bit more, I guess you could say the advantage might lie in Louisville's favor. Let's also look at history here, though. Louisville is notorious for being the ninth place team. It would be insane. I'm sorry. Like it would be insane for the scenario to play out again. So you're kind of fighting history. Of course, I think that gives Louisville a bit of an edge, that momentum of like, we're not going to let this happen to us again. But yeah, I mean, that would be something for them to finish ninth in, I believe, their fifth consecutive season. Never have been in a playoff, always have finished in ninth place.
Yeah, I think you're so right, and it was that last game that they had where I truly felt like um, against Gotham, it definitely was like they fought back. It
Yeah.
was Gotham who was taking the game to them, and they got a much needed point. A much needed point. That was a game that they were like, those are the types of games in the past that they have lost that have led them to ninth place. Whereas this time, you pick up a huge point, and it definitely feels like, based on the job that Bev Yanez has done there, the amazing job that she has done, that they finally believe it. The mentality is there and the effort is there. And yeah, but the courage have been surging. I mentioned it before, such a big fan of Monica Matsukuba, one of the best young players in the league, scores a hat trick her last time out. So they are also in a rich run of form. Both teams are deserving, but like you said, the matchup favors Racing Louisville because they're taking on a Bay FC team that is not in versus Gotham. Like you also like everyone has to think about matchups as well, and obviously you have to beat everybody if you want to be the champion. But like Gotham has to seriously consider, okay, do we want to end up matched up against Kansas City or Washington, or do we want to take on an Orlando team or the other teams that are in that 4 through 6 slot, so where we can get a
Mhm.
better matchup right away. So that is something to really consider for Gotham. You're looking at Portland right there, San Diego, Seattle. Those are the teams you want to play. But there is one twist in the plot. It was looking like for most of this season that the Kansas City Current and Washington Spirit pretty much coasting through most of the year. And literally with 2 weeks to go, Temwa Chawinga goes down with an adductor injury. Like you could not script it any better. Like the Current have looked like the best team by far. But now you lose your MVP, the best player, and there's no word on whether she's going to be back or not. Now that is like the Current have the depth, but Chawinga is the X factor, the player that when things aren't going well, you can rely on her to get things done. So how does that injury impact what Kansas City wants to do at the top?
Yeah, and I think in my opinion, I think Kansas City has enough depth to fight out of this. I think when you're looking at, I think they're probably never more grateful than right now for the pickup of Sentnor in August. I think bringing in, players of that caliber do not compensate for Chewing going down, but bring them so many different styles. However, I mean, we look at their most recent game and it was their first loss and it was against Houston, which frankly is a rather unexpected loss. But I think that was a way for Kansas City to search for an identity without Chewinga. That being said, I think for them, international break probably came at the best possible time. Mainly because they've had these 2 weeks to figure that out, and whether, they know that she's coming back or they know that she's not, or, it depends on a week by week basis of how far they get. They've had time to figure out and fill that gap. And I'm sure that, sudden injury is more of like, okay, well, like now how do we pivot? And I think they've had a game and 2 weeks to figure it out. So, I think Kansas City will be fine. I do think they're an extremely strong team. And one of the strongest parts about their team is they can bring so many different elements. You have a threatening in behind player like Chewinga, but you also have, I mean, one of the most talented midfields in the league when you look at the combination of players they have. So, you have players, Dabinia, being on the top of their game right now. So I really think that they just had to find some time and they got lucky in the timing. I think also, Rodman going down, obviously it's a hit to spirit, let's be real, but they also were without her for a large chunk of the season. So
Mhm.
she's an incredible player, but they've had time to also figure out how to be a team without her. I give Kansas City an edge in this battle because of just the depth and everything that they bring. But you've had a lot of players for them. Gift Monday has been playing absolutely spectacularly for club, and a couple other players have shined on such a high level, so once again, I think they're so happy for bringing in Cantori, and really making these moves in that summer window that I think have prepared them for being able to bounce back from a hit like this.
Yeah, showing good like front office competence from both. Like that is exactly why you make the moves when you make them for contingency plans like this, for situations like this. And I think Rodman, it's a grade 1 MCL sprain, so timeline is typically 1 to 2 weeks. So you could possibly see her back for that first round matchup, but something tells me for both Chowinga and Rodman, I kind of have a feeling like they need to make it through their first game first, get that extra week, and then we would see both of them back. But of course, you got to survive the first round because this is, again, all of these teams at this stage will see that as an opportunity. They will not, they will say, hey, this is our best chance to beat these teams at the top. Who are some other teams that you feel are flying under the radar and have a chance to really upset the Current or the Spirit?
Yeah, I have a sleeper pick in my opinion. And it's part of me can't believe I'm saying this with the season of ups and downs I have, but I think San Diego Wave is a sleeper pick. I think right now they're in that 5 seed, which would currently, if the standings were to freeze, put them against Seattle, which I think is a draw that would be good for them. Obviously I'm being biased because we did just play San Diego and they did just, beat us pretty well. That being said, I think the form that they're in is impressive. And if you look at their front four of players, when you look at how much they've invested into those front four players, and then the payoffs that you've gotten, you know, you have Cascarino, you have, you know, all of these, just like everyone brings a threat in such a different way that I truly believe that like once they find that foundation for them, they're hitting on levels. Dolly has been playing on a level that I think has gone so underrated, you know, in the way that she's been able to transpire this midfield. Lundqvist in the way that she plays outside back, you know, all those players just went off to their national team. I think a lot of them gained confidence through their national team over this international break. And I think they're a team that's getting hot at the right time.
And yeah, what are some things that you dealt with specifically against a player like a Cascarino, or what are some things that they like to do that make it so tough?
The hard thing about San Diego is like the level of individuality that they bring. You know, they want to spread out a back line. They play with both of their, you know, they play a typical 4-4-3 or 4-3-3, but they play with their three so wide and so stretched that it creates a lot of individual battles that they feel very confident in taking in. So whether that be Cascarino, whether that be Dolly, whether that be, you know, anyone else that like really may come and strike for that team, you know, I really think that that gives them so much momentum that they love to feed off of. And then it's their interchangeability. You know, Dolly's a center midfielder who you will see out on the wing quite a bit. Lundqvist is an outside back who will be in the attack. You know, they have so much interchange that if you as a back line and you as a defensive unit aren't completely confident in your structure, they find a way to tear you apart. And frankly, I think that's what happened to us. And I think that that momentum of how it happened to us, I think gives them a lot of momentum going forward.
Yeah, and I think that would, if the matchup stays and we do end up with the wave and the rain, I that is like classic offense versus defense, and you have that rain team that has been so solid at the back. I think yeah, they're second or third in goals, no, fourth in goals allowed this season. So they've had a great defense for the majority of the year. I feel like that team is definitely someone to watch, but I love your San Diego Wave pick. The team for me that I have to take is Gotham because and that's what makes it just the finest of margins. If they end up beating Louisville, they are higher up the standings. I can guarantee you that no one wants to see, like, neither of those top two teams want to see Gotham first. That is a team with championship experience, like great players throughout the roster, and that is a team that is like you could tell from how they played in the Louisville game that this is the time of year that they've been waiting for. Like this is the time where they are like, okay, it's the business end of the season now. This is where we got everybody healthy, everyone's ready. We got Midge Purse back in the mix. Like Sarah Shupansky's had a phenomenal year. There's so many great things that they are building there. I like Gotham. If again, no one wants to see them. Comparatively, I would say to either Louisville or North Carolina, depending on who gets in there. The Thorns, to me, by trading away Hina Sugita, I feel like I don't know how they can win without her, and I was shocked that they made that trade. Like Hina Sugita immediately became Angel City's best player. Like that is how quick. Like I was utterly shocked that they just allowed that for Vignola. I guess they like Vignola was great for us. I guess they needed help at that position, but to just give away Hina Sugita like that. I don't know if they could win it without her. Sam Coffey's been great. Olivia Moultrie is taking a big step up and scoring for club and country. So like if it really comes down to Olivia Moultrie for Portland. And then Orlando, I think they're so interesting because again, can they do this without Banda? I don't know if they can. Marta is really, you know, 3 wins in their last 4. Feels like they've had a good end to the season and they're figuring it out without her. Like you said, they've got to figure out how to win without Banda, but I think they are a team no one's talking about either because
Yeah.
Banda's gone. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is what we dream of. The NWSL playoffs always bring interesting. You know, I saw something the last, you know, if you look at like the last 5 years, the Shield winner has been different for the last 5 years. This is where parity in the league comes. And, you know, this is where like, listen, what you did in the conference doesn't matter anymore. It's playoff time. And I think that that's the special thing about this league is truly anyone can win on any given day.
Yep. It's like throw it all out the window. Everyone's thinking, oh yeah, it's gonna be KC and Washington all day long. And it's like, no, you got to play these tough, tough games. I cannot wait. Only a few weeks away. Uh, Switching gears though, I definitely wanted to get to some things that I'd seen about Alyssa Thompson since she's moved to Chelsea. Chelsea fans are just beyond spoiled. Like, really, they just expect every single player that they buy to just show up and be amazing. And it's like, Alyssa Thompson is so good, but everyone just loves to look at production numbers, right? And I think you will know this as a professional player, like productivity does not represent the value of an actual player. Like just because she doesn't have any goals yet doesn't mean that she isn't making an impact, that she isn't already like the fastest player in the league, and that there isn't a bit of an adjustment period there when you know that like there's going to be a lot of expectations for her. And I think she's carrying herself well, and I think she's really looking like she's growing up before our very eyes. So those Chelsea fans, y'all don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you do not know what you are looking at. You are in the presence of greatness. She is going to be so, so good. Trust me. I would say it's the fact that they have just a bunch of injuries. Sam Kerr's coming back. Myra Ramirez has been out. And so all of a sudden they're expecting her to score all the goals. Like, I'm confused. So, Chelsea fans, you gotta chill for a second and let her do her thing. Trust me, she's gonna be great.
Be the first one to say that there are statistics involved in soccer, but soccer is not a statistical sport. And from an outsider looking in, someone who is not truly, ingrained in the life of the sport, it is so easy to be like, oh, goals, assists, passing accuracy, boom.
Mhm.
And we all know that that's just not true. Like we all know that there's so many elements that create a dangerous player, and so yeah, I laugh when I see everything. I'm like, you guys realize you got one of the like most talented 20-year-olds in the world. Like, take a breath. So I am sure she will be fine. And yeah, Chelsea fans really need to chill out because they don't not understand what's before their eyes too.
Yep, you have something special. I think part of, Alyssa Thompson's reasoning, of course, you want to go to Europe. It's the WSL has been really prioritizing how can we make this league great. And I think they're really trying to push to become the most competitive league in the world over the NWSL. The NWSL needs to do something. The WSL has gone as far as to bring in Goldman Sachs and Deloitte to try and find places where they can stimulate more growth, which was a big, big thing to try and do, first of all. Like, but then the funniest part about it to me is you go to them and they just suggest you take out a loan. And I'm like, what was the point of you go like you could have determined that yourself that you could have taken out a loan. Why are you hiring Goldman Sachs to tell you you could have done that? Anyway, it still is a big move if it goes through. They're going to try and use some of the money that they're getting from the media deal, right, to be able to pay back this loan, whatever they take. But it's more so to try and make sure that some of that money goes to winning prize money and back into the teams so that they can make more money and hopefully stimulate more growth. What do you think about them taking out? It's a risky proposition anytime you take out a loan. What do you think about how this is kind of unfolding?
Back on how they're choosing to bet on themselves with this loan and, try to stimulate that growth. I think, like you said, it's now becoming a battle of who's the top dog. And it's so funny because listen, I just think everything is so different when it comes to how you're comparing these things and what status you're comparing of what's the best league. I think there's different answers in different scenarios. And so, I love how we're trying to stimulate women's sports and grow it. And I think that especially the culture in England, you've had football there forever, you've had football there supporters forever, but there is still growth on such a level that I think can come. You look at what Arsenal's been able to do with their attendance rates, and you have the popularity of Chelsea, but what about West Ham? And what about Aston Villa and all these other, programs? So I do hope the growth kind of goes to balance the league a little bit more because you have the people that are investing, but we also historically have the people that aren't. And so I think it's a great move on their part. And yeah, the question will be the response. if they're trying to go for it, then what do other leagues do to compete? And so I think a lot of the question is like, NWSL has done a really good job with the marketing and the level that it's taken, but there is a lot of negatives too, for certain people in certain lens. And so, yeah, I think it puts pressure on other leagues. And at the end of the day, competition is how you get growth out of everyone. And I think that that'll be good.
Yeah, and the thing is like England, they will find the money. Like they have like they love football. That is their sport. I think the craziest thing is like it ended up being a blessing, but also a curse now was the opening of Pandora's box and free agency. Because now those stars that you wanted to keep and you want them in the NWSL that are going to make it the most competitive league in the world now have the chance to leave. And so obviously, like we talked about this already, Alyssa Thompson, like super happy that she is has gone to Chelsea, but it was also like leaving at the most important time of Angel City's season. And I get it. Like she probably wanted to play in the Champions League. You had to make that move sooner rather than later so that you get integrated into the team. But it's like we were still in a playoff race. We
Yeah.
were still fighting for a chance to get in. And so that was the part that it's one of the heartbreaking parts of having this be a part of the league now. So um, I think the NWSL is going to have to do something. They're like you said, they have to act because the WSL is not playing around. They have been acting quickly on this, whether it's the adding teams to the league. They're already trying so many things. NWSL, Jessica Berman, take note, please do something because this is gonna get out of hand. They're gonna take over, and then what's gonna happen to what's gonna happen in the NWSL? Because when it being called the best league in the world or the most competitive league in the world is something we take pride in, that we have that here, and we cannot lose that.
Absolutely. And, speaking into WSL, NWSL, and players, this is where I'm so excited for the interview with Clarissa Larisey. She's been a player that, frankly, my first ever official professional soccer game, I defended her when she played for BK Häcken and I played for Norrköping in my first ever game in the Damallsvenskan. And then to see her growth with then going from Häcken in the Damallsvenskan to them playing for Crystal Palace in their first year in the WSL to now being at Houston Dash and seeing her journey has been something so fun and to see her perspectives on her journey and her league so far.
Here it is, guys. Enjoy.
We are with Clarissa Larisey, who is a striker for the Houston Dash and also with the Canadian national team. Clarissa, how are you doing? And I know you joined the team a little bit later in this season, but how are you feeling now that you've got one game left? How would you guys sum up the feeling in the locker room and how things are going?
Yeah, well, I'm good. Thank you for asking. I hope you're good too. Yeah, I feel like this is the last push, it's the last game. Of course, like I came in halfway through the season, so I'm not sure much about that first half, but I know how much growth they've had this second half. I feel like it's been a quite a bit of a roller coaster, even just being here in the second half. But yeah, we are excited for this last game. I mean, it doesn't really mean much, but I mean, a win is a win for us, and we want to win before the end of season, so that the new season coming in, that we're going to be feeling just as good. So we're excited.
And what was the adjustment period like for you coming from where you came from in Sweden and now coming here? What was that adjustment for you like initially?
To be fair, I'm still adjusting. It's
Hmm.
a big difference compared to Europe. I think that yeah, I think that here in the NWSL, it's just so much running. They love to run. They don't stop either. And I think that's been like the biggest thing that I'm still adjusting to. And of course, like sometimes I forget I've only been here for 3 months, so not only adjusting to the league, but for my team and like how they want to play. And yeah, again, only being 3 months in, it's a lot to take on, especially coming halfway through a season. But I mean, this league is so good and it's really exciting all of the time. So yeah, the adjusting is still there, but it's going well and we're getting better and better. So that's all that matters.
And so curious about your journey personally because you have been everywhere. You were at Memphis, right? A star there, and you didn't end up going straight into the NWSL. You went, Iceland, Scotland, everywhere, Sweden. So those experiences, every single stop, how would you say that has helped you along the way to get this opportunity?
Yeah, I think I did go to the draft, but I didn't get drafted in the NWSL right from college. And that was really tough. That was like the biggest, I would say, like downfall that I had especially at that time, and trying to overcome. So, but I really believe in like blessings in disguise. Like there's a reason why I didn't get called, and I'm like grateful because my time in Europe has been incredible. I've learned so much on and off the pitch, and I think it's made me who I am today, and I'm like super grateful for all that. Um, and I'm that's why I'm excited to be here at like the Dash because I get to bring what I learned in Europe, which is it's still the same game, but it's different. So I
Mhm.
get to like bring what I learned there to here and just like run extra. So like, you know what I'm saying? It's like just taking it all in. But no, it's been so great. And yeah, I'm definitely grateful for my time in Europe, but I'm very excited to be here and to be in this league.
And what are some of those things that you did learn that you feel like you've been able to carry here and use?
Yeah, different type of like tactics, things I would never have thought about. Honestly, it's like funny to say, but it's like really small details that like make the biggest difference. Like even like nonverbal communication, like you know what I'm saying? Just like things like that. And I think I'm just like a little bit more observant now. I mean, especially coming from college, I was like 21, 20, like, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You're like just playing to play, you're having fun. You don't really think of like much of the details. So I think like that was such a big difference for me going college to like Europe and then being like, oh dang, this is different, but like I'm ready to like take this on and learn. And yeah, and so now that I'm back here in the US, it's just again bringing those little details that I learned there and trying to apply them here.
Was it kind of like reading body language and like looking at and knowing like, okay, based on their body positioning, the angle within which they are standing, I know which way to go. Is it things like that kind of?
Yeah, and I think for me it's like really reading like defense. If they're dropping, can you show if they're going to stay up? Are they looking at you or looking at the ball? Because you're looking at the ball and you can see them, they can't see you. Can you be offside sometimes and then come back on side, and like take them by surprise? Like again, there's like little things and then like learning midfielders or like wingers when they want to cross it, you have to be ready when they want to cross it, not when you want to run. So it's like again, just reading because they're not going to be like, "Hey, Chris, I'm hitting it now," and then I run, right? So it's like that nonverbal like communication that you pick up on, but yet again, everyone's so different. So like even though I've caught on to things in Europe, now I have to just like catch up with this team.
Hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And is what for you, like when did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
So I did not know about professional soccer until I was maybe a junior in college, and that's when I learned about the NWSL and that I actually could play. Honestly, before that, I don't even know what I was thinking. I think I was just enjoying my time in Memphis and like my time in college that I wasn't really thinking about the past or about the future because I'm like thinking so much about we've got a season, we have an off season. You know what I'm saying? So when I learned about the NWSL, like I was really excited because I was like, this is perfect. I can keep playing. I can play forever at this point. And again, I think that's why it hurt me so much when I didn't get drafted. But the crazy thing is, it's like I didn't know about Europe. My family's not big soccer family. We don't know about things like that. So like for me, I thought it was the end of the world. Like NWSL didn't like choose me. That means I have to get a normal job. Like damn, like you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I think when I learned more about like Europe, it was like, okay, it's not the end of the world. There's actually more teams out there than just America. Who would have
Mm-hmm.
known? So yeah, I think it was a big surprise to me, but like a really good surprise.
Nice, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there is, yeah, it definitely is surprising to see like, oh wow, there is a league in like Iceland that actually is very competitive. Like I could just go there. Yeah, it's
Who would
great.
have known? And to be fair though, I've met so many of like my closest friends now, like in so many different places. Like who would have known not only your college friends are going to be your friends of friends, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's lovely, yeah.
Yeah, friends all over the world. That's awesome. Yeah.
I
So
know.
if you would have, I guess, a favorite moment from your career abroad and a favorite moment you've had with the Dash so far, what would they be?
I would definitely say like there's too many memories, right? But I would say like one that always stands out to me was my game against Chelsea in Champions League. Like not only did I get to score against Chelsea, but I scored my first goal in Champions League, which was like one of the biggest things that I'm very proud of. It's definitely not easy, like to play in Champions League, and I was lucky enough in Sweden. We did so well, and to be fair, they're such a great team still. Like that team is so good. So I'm definitely that's one of my top for sure in Europe. And
Hmm.
then here I would have to say also scoring my first goal against San Diego. It was my first start. It was my first goal and that game just like went perfectly like it went great, for us and especially winning against such a top team. Like I think that was just the icing on the cake for sure.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And
Yeah.
you mentioned your Sweden career. That was with Hacken, correct?
Yes.
And did you get the chance at all to connect with my co-host, Sam Cary, when she was playing for Norshipping? She was there last year.
No. Was she only there for last year?
Yes.
Okay, no, I was gone. I was in
Oh,
England
by
then.
then, right, you were pals.
Ah,
Okay. Okay,
yes.
darn. So you guys did not cross paths, but like she
No.
was the one who immediately was like, okay, you need to talk to Clarissa. So I
Oh,
wish you guys gotten to connect with each other. But yeah, she just signed with Chicago. So she's been with them for this last half of the year.
oh
So it's
wow.
been, yeah, you guys kind
She's
of have
back
like
as
similar
well.
paths. Yep. Hmm. Yeah, you guys have like similar paths. So it's really cool
Oh,
to see that. Yeah.
I'll have to meet her for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess what, as a Canadian having represented the national team,
Yes.
have you looked at seeing, the new Canadian Premier League for women and its impact for soccer in Canada? What do you think about the league, and is this something you would potentially do down the line one day?
I think when I think of that Canadian league, the NSL is it's a long time coming. We've needed something like this. 'Cause I mean, when I was younger, and I know a lot of people, if you wanted to play pro, if you wanted to play somewhere, you have to go elsewhere. Like you have to. There's nothing for us there, and it stunts. Like you want to be with your country and keep growing there. Closer to home and stuff. And oh, how great they did their first year. It's amazing to see. And I mean, to be fair, I've watched quite a bit of games, especially when I was home. I got to go to like the Ottawa Rapid games, and it's such a good environment. And it really like I'm surprised in a good way because I don't know how Canadians are about soccer. I know like they like it, but we're a big hockey country. So I
Hmm.
didn't know if they would get so many fans and stuff, and they did. And I was it's so nice to see. And those girls are doing so well. And I mean, Ottawa is doing great, so I'm like supporting them, Loki. But no, so yeah. And I mean, right now I'm focusing on the dash. I'm not looking elsewhere, but maybe down the road, why not? It's always there and it's again home. So I'm not thinking about it right now, but it's always in the back of my mind for sure.
And, being a proud Canadian, I definitely wanted to ask you about Christine Sinclair and her retirement, jersey retirement recently, how
Mm.
special of a moment that was. Did you get a chance? Did you guys ever cross paths on the national team? Did you get to play with her? What was that like? And how do you feel about the situation?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I am very happy to say that I have got to play with her. And I actually have a funny story. The first time I've ever, like the first training session I ever had, I went to Australia with them. We played Australia. The first training session I ever had, I we were doing corners or we were doing something like that. And I was on one team and then Christine St. Clair was on the other team. And I'm running like full speed to go like try and I think I was attacking. She was defending and she rocked me. Like she stood there and I bounced. And I was like, "Oh, Clarissa, welcome to Team Canada," is what I felt as soon as that happened. It was so funny because she just looks down because she's like surprised. Like she was like, she didn't even expect me. I don't even know what happened, but I'll never forget. That was my first ever moment with Christine St. Clair. I'm sure she has no idea, or that was memorable for me. It was so funny. But seriously though, she deserves that like jersey retirement. She deserves so much more. What she's done for the game is incredible. She has painted a path not only for Canada but for the world and women's soccer. Like I just get chills. Like she's done so much and she's amazing. So yeah, definitely well deserved and I'm very happy for her. What a great career.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. Pioneer of the game. What would you say to all of, well, I guess what would you say has been your favorite thing about joining the Dash and is it your teammates? Is it, yeah, what would you say is your favorite thing?
I would definitely say the team in general, not only the players, but the staff. They have such a great group, a very determined group, um, and a group that sticks together. Again, I can only talk about the second part of the season because I've been here, but we've had a bumpy ride within this second half. And I just feel like we're always together and we're always trying to be better together. And it's such a beautiful thing because sometimes, you can take a loss or you can take something and it drags you down. But yeah, and yeah, just the team in general has been so great.
Awesome, love to hear that. And
Mhm.
last thing for you, what is your advice to all the young girls out there who are looking to make their dreams come true and play pro soccer?
I would say the advice that I would have is I think one of the major things from my career is just focusing on yourself and controlling what you can, which is what you do. There's a lot of social media, there's a lot of like comparisons and stuff, and I think what can get you to the top level is just focusing on what you need to focus, what you're good at, what you're like, be also realistic, what you're good at and what you need to work on. Um, and keep dreaming big. It's you at such a young age, you have so much potential. You have your brain is like a sponge and like your habits, that's when you force like habits and like good habits. You want good habits, especially in football or in soccer. So I think, yeah, just like keep dreaming big and just keep loving what you do because I think the love for the game can help you go so far.
Again, that was Clarissa Larisey of the Houston Dash and the Canadian national team. And one of my favorite things about the interview was she had a story about Christine Sinclair and how her like welcome to the national team moment was going up against Sink and literally like running into her and bouncing off of her. That's what she says. So it was like and and Sink didn't move a muscle and she was like, "Oh my God, this is the strength of the players at the Canadian national team level. I gotta get my weight up a little bit. I gotta get in the weight room." But nah, she was really nice and new to the league and definitely adjusting well, scored on her debut in her first start. So excited for what she's going to bring to Houston moving forward.
Absolutely. She's a dynamic player, and I think her future at Houston can do wonders for that club and that team going forward.
All right, now we're going to get into something that definitely captured the attention of a lot of people in the women's soccer space. Elizabeth Eady of Angel City, pains me to say, put out a huge, super long tweet essay type deal about gender affirming things in regards to testing within the league. There was a lot of stuff. I know you have a lot you want to say. Have at it.
You know, full transparency again, Ro asked me if this is something I'd feel comfortable addressing and if, we wanted to address. And I thought about it for a second, but I think at the end of the day, it is our job as a media company, as a podcast, as a professional athlete myself. I have a platform and it's a responsibility to use it and use it in response to some things like this. I will say, and I think one thing we all have to acknowledge in so many different capacities is the beautiful thing about the foundation of a country that we believe in is that you have a right to say and believe what you say. That is an absolute foundation that I think is what makes our country as great as it is and as it has been historically. That being said, you also, when you say these things, deal with the repercussion of your own actions. Just because you're allowed to say them doesn't mean that it's inexcusable to then have repercussions from the way that you treat people and the way that you speak. And due to that, I think that it's completely fair to us to respond on comments like these because they are repercussions against people. And we do not have to agree. And yes, you have a right to say things, but also I can say that I completely condone or I completely do not agree. I frankly, I abhor the comments that were made. And I think as an athlete, as a woman, as someone who's had the privilege of playing at the level that I've played at, of interacting and meeting the people I've met from all different backgrounds, from all different cultures, from all different places, that is what makes women's sports so special. We have been, if you look at the history of women's sports, we have been oppressed, we have been shut down, we have fought back. And who are we as women to then do that to other women and do that to other athletes? And I think as a female athlete, as someone who does compete in this league, it is completely ignorant to try to decide who is and who isn't and what that baseline should be. And at the end of the day, I think that the actions and the thoughts are relatively disgusting. And though I respect anyone who has worked as hard as they have to get to this league and this level, that doesn't give you a reason to then exclude others. It does not give you a reason to then promote hate. It does not give you a reason to frankly be ignorant to people who just are not the same as you. And so because of that, I think it's just important for us and for myself to use the platform to say trans women are women, to say that trans women are not a threat to female sports, to say that I am so blessed to be in a league that promotes and supports, and I truly hope continues to protect women in sports. And I believe that that is a broad spectrum. And I believe that we can be inclusive without being hateful and without being ignorant and without, frankly, just being disgusting toward other human beings.
Yeah, I could not agree more, Sam. That was beautifully said. I don't have too much to add other than the fact that I'm pretty sure it was directed at a teammate too, which is kind of crazy in and of itself. But yeah, definitely a few things on this from my side. I definitely want to have full disclosure. We have had Elizabeth Eady on the podcast before, but this was a long time ago, before we knew any of this. Trust me, which you used to play for Sky Blue back then. And then after that, I've kind of noticed, even going back to the times when Pino took the stand for kneeing for the national anthem, she was one of the players, Edie, who would not take a knee for the national anthem. So that kind of tells you a little bit of insight into where her politics may lie. So it isn't, I guess, that big of a surprise for me to see her come out with these comments. Although, I mean, look, knowing what is going to come your way after posting something like that, I mean, the one thing I will say is that it was brave on her part to actually do that. But at the same time, yeah, we can't really condone that. We can't say anything else about it other than it's hateful, and I don't feel like it is representative of what the league is about, what we're about, and it's like literally like a majority of the league is like in the LGBTQ. Like, so it's just honestly crazy and tone deaf, to be quite honest with you. So I agree with everything you said, and it's like we gotta protect trans rights as much as we possibly can, as best as we possibly can. Moving on to something a little more lighthearted. Thank you, Sam, though. That was really great. Honestly, I'm glad we got that out. But yeah, moving on. We got the UEFA Nations League final coming up at the end of November. Spain had no problems with Sweden over two legs in the semifinal, and Germany handled France in the second leg without much of a fuss. Only won one leg in the first leg, but then France just didn't have enough for them in the second leg. So, with that being said, who you got?
Extremely biased. So yes, of course, I think the odds are on Spain. I think Spain is looking good, yada yada, blah blah blah. I'm Team Germany. I will fully acknowledge one of the reasons I am Team Germany is my girl Kathi Hendrick, who has been balling out here in Chicago, who I do carpool with to practice every day, and is my roommate on travel trips. So once again, extremely biased to see her get the start, and I thought she absolutely balled out in the first leg against France. I was so excited to see her play that well. So happy for her. So like stats, odds, all that out the window. Team Germany, you will have me supporting. I will be sat. If anything, I think that this will be a fantastic game. Let's be real though. I mean, this is a playoff of a Euros game we saw not too long ago. I think that was an extremely competitive game. There's so much, but yeah, I mean, not even Team Germany. I'm Team Hendrick and Germany then along with that.
I love it. I love it. You gotta rep. You gotta support. You gotta support your teammates. I personally feel like it's a must. I wouldn't say must win. But I mean they can't lose another final. They really cannot. Between the last two they've lost at Spain, Barcelona losing the Champions League final, like if they lose this game, then they really have to do some internal work. Now, I know they fired Monse Tome. They have someone new in, so it's going to, take some more time, I guess, to who knows what's going on there in Spain, but they cannot afford to lose this game. Um, and so with that being said, I am taking them to get this done, but like you said, boo. But like I said, Germany is so, so good. They obviously have the players to make this uh a hotly contested affair. I think there's a chance it even goes to penalties. I think Germany will be strong defensively. Spain is going to try to outpossess them and try and control tempo, control pace. But Germany has the players to get this done too. I'm taking Spain though.
Like that. No, I agree. I think more than anything, though, like we said, it's about the Euros, and I think a lot of our listeners, of course, we care about the U.S. national team. We watch the NWSL, all this stuff. Like, if you want to watch a football game, Germany versus Spain in this championship is going to be a football game, and that will truly bring a joy to, I hope, any football fan.
Yeah, a proper game. Yes, because like the Euros were so good. Like anytime these teams get together, it was great. Like Um, in the relegation playoff, there were some incredible games. Belgium versus Ireland. Holy cow, over the two legs. Ireland wins 4-2. In the second leg, Belgium goes up 2-0 to make it 4-4 on aggregate, and Ireland scores in the 92nd minute to advance out of the relegation playoff. Like these games have been so much fun when the teams are evenly matched and going up against each other. So the Nations League is actually working out well, and I think it's better for growing the women's game comparatively to the men's side where they're just playing so many games. I mean, the women are also, you guys are also playing so many games, and it is, I'm sure, killing you guys in terms of like travel and everything else and going internationally. Hey, fly here, come back, play a game 10 hours later, even though your brain is like, like, did I get enough sleep? Is my circadian rhythm okay? Like, did I like there's so much going on behind the scenes that you guys don't know, and that's why I'm so glad that we have Sam here to kind of give us an insight, peel back the curtain, and tell you guys what's going on within the world of a pro athlete.
Because you just made a great point. My girl Kati, for example, in Germany, you have Julia Grosso, who was playing for Canada, whose games were also in Europe. You know, a lot of these travels, you have Ludmila, who's playing for Brazil, so it's down in South America. Like, they're pretty sure they get back today. And then luckily we have a home game. If we didn't have a home game, they would be flying to Chicago, I'm gonna guess tomorrow,
Oh,
in order to have scout for a game on Sunday. So I mean that just gives the clarity, especially what these international breaks mid-season can bring. And yeah, it definitely you earn respect when you understand the behind the scenes.
yeah, like I get fed up with the traveling, man. Like I get like I did a trip to I did like two like the trips to India for 1 week. Like those flights. I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just sitting here on the flight and I'm like exhausted getting off it, going back home. I'm like, it's like traveling is not easy. It's not, it is an ordeal for some people, especially like when, airlines and the way that they act. And it's like security, like there's so many extra factors that are taken for granted here. Pro athletes, I mean, truly, like you guys are amazing. Like seriously, like I would not have the level of patience that you guys are having on a day-to-day basis. Like you guys are awesome. Seriously. Okay, I think that is all that we have for you today on episode 84 of Give and Go. This was a great one, jam-packed with a lot of great stuff. Again, hope you enjoy the interview with Clarissa Larisey and everything that we talked about. I think next time we will have at least some update on the NWSL playoffs because we're going to be in the thick of it by then. But as always, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. Again, for all the latest and greatest, go to www.girlssoccernetwork.com. You could check us out on our socials as well at Girls Soccer Network on Instagram and on Twitter. We have a Blue Sky account as well if you want to go over there. And on Instagram, Sam Cary Angel and Rowan DeToss 25. Any final thoughts, Sam?
Season's here. Let's get it, y'all.
Let's get it. See you guys.
See
Peace.
y'all.